Have you ever really, and I mean really, thought about the stuff you sprinkle on your food every day? You know, table salt. It seems so normal, so boring. But here's the thing, it's hiding a pretty wild secret identity. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden chemistry of everyday things, and we're starting right there with the salt shaker. Okay, so this whole thing kicks off with a puzzle, right? A delicious danger. It's this idea that you can bring two things together from completely different worlds you'd think should never, ever meet on your dinner plate.
And that leads us to the big question for today. How is it even possible that two genuinely dangerous, hazardous substances can combine to make something not just harmless, but something we actually use for flavor? It doesn't seem to add up, does it?
All right, meet the two main characters in our story. On the left, we've got the element sodium, and on the right, the element chlorine. Now, on their own, trust me, you would not want to hang out with either of them. But when they get together, well, that's when they pull off a kind of chemical magic trick.
So to figure out this mystery, we've got to look at each of these guys separately. Let's get to know these two very, very unlikely ingredients. First up to the plate is sodium. Its chemical symbol is Na. I know, it just looks like a lump of metal, but this is not like any metal you've ever seen before.
You want to know how weird sodium is? For starters, it's a soft, silvery metal. You could literally cut it with a butter knife. But don't let that fool you for a second. This stuff is, well, it's a bit of a drama queen. It reacts so violently, it explodes if it touches water. Oh, and it can just decide to catch fire all by itself in the air. So yeah, not exactly friendly.
Okay, let's turn to our second ingredient, chlorine, symbol Cl. And if you thought sodium sounded like bad news, well, let's just say chlorine has its own dark side.
Chlorine is a poisonous yellow-green gas. It's got this really strong, unmistakable smell, and it's nasty stuff. It literally chokes your lungs. In fact, it's so toxic, it was used as a chemical weapon back in World War I. So let's recap. We have an explosive metal and a poison gas. Great. So, what on earth happens when these two troublemakers actually meet? This right here is the moment where everything changes. This is where the magic happens. And just look at this transformation. We start with sodium, the explosive metal. We add chlorine, the toxic gas. But when they react and bond together, they become sodium chloride, a totally harmless, white, crystalline solid that's completely safe to eat. All those dangerous properties, they're just gone, vanished. And hey, if you need a simpler way to think about this, here you go. You start with two pretty tough customers, Na and Cl, and you end up with something completely different, and let's be honest, a whole lot nicer to have around the house. This is the key, the absolute most important takeaway. When elements chemically bond, they don't just, mix together like you're making a salad. No, they completely lose their original properties. By trading or sharing these tiny particles called electrons, they get super stable. And that stability creates a substance with a brand new identity and totally new properties. And there's a name for this new thing they become. It's called a compound. That's the official term. A compound is just what you get when two or more different elements lock together chemically. It's not a mixture, it's something entirely new. So, this whole process of making compounds happens all the time in nature. How does scientists even keep track of it all? Well, it turns out they have a pretty simple and logical system for naming them. Let's quickly run through the rules of the game. The rules are actually super straightforward. First, the metal always gets its name said first. That's why we say sodium chloride, not the other way around. Second, the non-metal changes its ending, usually to "ide." So chlorine becomes chloride. See? Simple, right? And hey, little bonus tip, if oxygen gets into the mix, that ending often changes to "ate." Now, this basic idea of chemistry, that elements totally change when they form a compound, that's not some special one-time thing for salt. Nope, it happens all over the place. Let's prove it. We'll take a totally different set of ingredients. Here we have some iron filings, which, as everyone knows, are magnetic, and some plain yellow sulfur powder. Now, if you heat these two up together, they have a chemical reaction. They form a brand new compound called iron sulfide. And here's the kicker, the proof that everything has changed. This new black stuff is not magnetic anymore. The iron has completely lost its most famous property. It gave up its old identity to become part of something new.
And once you know what you're looking for, you realize compounds are literally everywhere. I mean, think about it. Water, H2O, is made from two flammable gases, hydrogen and oxygen. The carbon dioxide you breathe out, CO2, and methane gas, CH4. All of these are compounds. They're nothing like their original building blocks.
So, there you have it. That ordinary salt on your table is actually what happens when an explosive metal and a poison gas give up their old selves to become something completely new. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now that you know the secret of salt, what other everyday things around you are hiding their own secret identity?